welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be something different that I've never done before. I'm starting off with a bare face. The only thing I have on is eyebrows and concealer. And what I want to do is I want to go through my palettes that I already own and find dupes or similar colors for these colors from the Cremated palette. Now, I want to do this one eye using Jeffree Star colors that are in his other palettes. And then I'm going to do one eye using other colors in my collection. Now, when the Cremated palette, when I get mine that I ordered, I want to take the Naked 2 Basics and compare it to Cremated because everybody keeps saying that it's just another cool tone neutral palette. But I don't really see that when I look at it, and I want to explain why when I get it so I can compare it. So I'm going to be using other colors in my collection, not using Naked 2, but I do have the Naked Basics, which my black is shattered. I have this Autonym To the Moon and Black Quattro palette. I'm not sure if this is still available, but I do know that they still make palettes and they're actually at Sephora now. And then I'm going to be using the ColourPop Smoke Show. So I think I'm going to be mostly using this for one eye because I want to do kind of a like angelic look. And then I also want to do something kind of brown. I really like the color Last Look, Life Respects, and the Morgue, which is that brown, and this like kind of muted brown. But I also really want to use like some of these shimmery whites or this one called Obituary. I found a similar color to it in Blood Sugar that I really want to use. So I'm going to go ahead and get into it. This is going to be a talk through of though if you want to see me recreate two looks inspired by Cremated, please keep on watching. I'm going to start off with this eye using a NYX base in White Pearl. This is like a shimmery, glittery white base, and I really want to use this for the angelic eye. And then for the other eye, I'm going to be using the Anastasia Beverly Hills Eye Primer. Start off this eye, which is the angelic eye. I'm going to go into this smoke, well, it was called Smoke Show. Now it's called Blowing Smoke palette by ColourPop. And I'm going to take this gray called Stone Face. And to me, this color looks like Obituary that I showed you in the bottom left corner of the image, which to you is probably the right. I'm going to take this and apply it to my crease. And I've actually haven't used the Smoke Show palette or Blowing Smoke palette yet. So I'm really excited to see how these colors look, to see how it compares to Cremated once I get it. Now this, I just want to be a light wash of color. And this palette, Cremated, Embalmed looks like a bluish gray. It kind of looks like a satin though. And then Life Insurance just looks like a straight gray, but it's a little bit lighter than Stone Face. And the reason I picked Stone Face was because it looks like a gray with like just the smallest hint of blue in it. And I'm just gonna run that through the crease to give it a little bit of color. Next, I'm gonna take the gray that's underneath Stone Face. It's called Ignite. And this has like a grayish, purplish undertone. I'm very lightly going to put this in the outer corner. It could be a dupe for Uology or Wednesday. Wednesday's a little bit more blue and Uology is a little bit like purplier. And this looks like gray on the eye. Another thing with grays, I know this palette's gonna come out and get a lot of negative reviews simply because people aren't taking their time and blending the colors. a Makeup Geek foiled eyeshadow brush, and I'm gonna take Starstruck mixed with a little bit of that purplish gray called Full Metal. And the reason I'm mixing it is because I don't want it to be too silvery, and because I want it to mimic the shade Goodbye, which is mostly a light silver, and this one's too light and this one's too dark. Now I am going to put this in the outer third, but not where I applied the gray. I'm gonna make like a halo eye, and then in the center I'm gonna do a really shimmery white from that Autonym palette. I put a little bit of Wednesday on the back of this. So I'm gonna wipe off this brush. I want to mimic the shade Diamond Ashes, which is this gorgeous shimmery, shimmery, shimmery white. So I'm gonna take that Autonym color, but I'm gonna spray it to make my brush wet and apply it wet in the center. And I knew this color was very similar to the gray, so I'm not too worried if it blends together. Just, I want that high impact kind of shine. I'm gonna go back in with Stone Face in my crease and darken this up just a little bit more. Go back in with Ignite. Very, very lightly. I want to create shadow, but I don't want it to look like I got punched in the eye. And I don't want this to overtake the glitteriness. An angled brush, I'm gonna take Salted, which is this dark gray. To me, this looks like a dupe from the pan color of R.I.P. Rest in Peace, which is just a very dark gray. Now I'm gonna take this and run it along my lower lash line. I know I said I wanted to create something angelic, but this is getting dark very fast, but don't worry. Then I'm gonna wipe off the brush and mix Starstruck and Full Metal again, and only apply that in the center of the lower lash line. A new brush, and use Young Love, which is that bright white. I'm gonna apply that in the inner corner to really open up my eye. And then I'm also gonna take it underneath my brow bone and blend out the edges of that gray stone face. This is actually a really good white. It's a little powdery, but I am fair as fair, and it actually looks like a white on me. So I'm okay with that. Now, to make this look very angelic and kind of get rid of that darkness that we created, I'm really gonna play up the liner and make it look beautiful. I'm gonna take a ColourPop gel liner in Exit, which is the white, and apply this to my lash line. This is one of my favorite gel eyeliners by them because it is so bright. Okay, I'm gonna attempt to do a double wing using the white on top of the black. I'm sorry I'm blinking so much, my contact is moving. I'm gonna try to take this NYX colored felt tip liner in white and create a wing and then do the black on top. this liner is really dry, so I don't know if it's gonna work how I want it to. So that is the finished gray eye. I think it's pretty, but I cannot wait to like recreate this kind of look with the Cremated palette. I think it's gonna be gorgeous, especially like that shimmery white and Obituary. Beautiful. This eye, I want to do something kind of taupey brown. I'm gonna prime with the Anastasia Beverly Hills primer, and the first shade I'm going in with is gonna be from Blood Sugar. It's gonna be this shade called O Positive, and the reason I'm picking this is because I want it to mimic that Last Respect shade, and then I want to use these two shades for dupes. So let's get into that. Okay, that might be one of my favorite eyeshadows ever. It's just like this beautiful kind of taupey gray, but it looks gray in the pan. I'm kind of amazed. So next shade. The shade I want to show you or dupe or recreate is the Morgue, which is kind of a deepy brown. Now I looked through all of the palettes and I could not find a shade that is similar to this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix them. So I'm going to take Jawbreaker Mini, and I'm going to take this shade called Hot Fudge. I want this for the depth because it's darker, but the undertone is wrong. So I'm going to mix it with Subtle from the Thirsty palette, and this is actually the shade I use to contour. It's a little bit taupey and a little bit brown. So I'm hoping this will work. I know it's not going to be an exact dupe because they're not exactly that cool toned, but for now it will do for the purpose of this video. So I'm going to pat this on the outer corner and blend into O Positive. I might deepen that up a bit more, but I want to go ahead and put the shimmer shade on my lid before I decide if I want to do that. So I want to recreate the color Last Look, and for this I want to use that shimmery shade called Snatched in the Thirsty palette. This is not an exact dupe, but when you're looking at shimmery shades in his palettes, the only thing that could possibly come close would be Sleep Paralysis. So I'm gonna apply Snatched, and if it needs a little bit more gray, I'll use Sleep Paralysis on top of it. Okay, that's definitely too warm for what I want, so I am going to take Sleep Paralysis on top of it, which is like a gray. Now what I have on my brush is just Hot Fudge because I want to deepen it just a little. Okay, that's kind of gorgeous. The shimmer is not as shimmery and bam as I want it to be, but it works for the purpose of the video. Take my tiny little inner corner brush, and I think I'm just gonna do, see, he has a lot of whites. He doesn't have a lot of like in your face cream colors, like a matte cream. Besides Bridal Gown, which is a little bit yellow. So Casket and Bridal Gown look like the creamier ones. I'm gonna go for like Death Blow, which is like the matte white. So I'm gonna take Ranch from the Conspiracy palette and put that in my inner corner and underneath my brow bone. as the like shimmery white. Take a clean blending brush and just run that over the edges of my eye where the browns were to like blend the edges. Take that wiped off brush and I'm gonna go in with Subtle, which is what I use to contour when I mix Hot Fudge with, and I'm gonna put that on the lower lash line. And then I'm gonna take Hot Fudge and blend it in the outer corner. Okay, so I don't know if I want to do liner with this. What I'm going to do is take a Sigma E65, which is a small angle brush, and I want to recreate the shade Hearse, which is a matte, dark black. Now, out of Jeffree palettes, Black Hole in the Alien palette, you have My Rides Here and Conspiracy. And I don't know if Blue Blood has a black. I actually haven't used Blue Blood in a tutorial. I've only used it once in real life. Okay, so it has like a deep blue, which is not what I want to go for because I used browns. So I'm going to take the Conspiracy because the black is darker than Black Hole, it looks like. And I'm going to use this like liquid liner and make it really tiny, just... Ooh, Spiraling from Conspiracy could have also been a dupe for one of those shimmering shades. I just saw it, so my bad. So you can't even tell that's like eyeshadow if you were far away, but it is kind of like smoky, so I guess you could technically. Now actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the liner brush and wipe it off, and I'm actually going to use Black Hole from the Alien palette because it's a little bit not as potent as black, and I'm going to do that trick I did in my spring makeup tutorial where I stamp the black in my lash line very lightly, because then when I apply mascara it will look like I have bottom lashes even though I don't, or they're really tiny. So got lashes on this eye, and you can see the difference that this one's kind of toned down and neutrally, but then you also have this bright, big, bold nonsense going on in this brown eye. I'm gonna take Call Me by ColourPop, and this is one of their gel pencils. Now this is a very warm tone brown, so it's kind of gonna look a little off with the cool tones we used, but you could use a black, but black looks really harsh in your waterline, which is why I'm not using black. So I'm gonna go apply a pair of lashes and I'll bring it back to show you both finished sides. Guys, so that is the finished look. I did my eyebrows and I did concealer. I did not apply foundation. I did add a little bit of blush on this side and a little bit of blush and contour on this side, but nothing too out of the ordinary. So these are my finished looks, and it's funny because when I started this, I wanted this eye to be more light and be more toned down, and I wanted this eye to be the dramatic eye. So I used this really like long pair of eyelashes on that eye, and then I used natural ones on this one, which I think could have flip-flopped and been fine, but I really love this big lash with that wing that I did out of eyeshadow. It kind of accentuates that kind of cat eye fling, but this wing is definitely longer and more drawn out. I could have done a bigger pair of lashes on this eye, I'm not gonna lie, because I picked a natural pair. But I love both of these looks, and it's funny that I used kind of a white shimmery color in both inner corners. This shimmer is not as in your face as I'm expecting these cremated ones to be. They look like they would be very in your face and very shiny, kind of like how this eye turned out, like almost frosty, even the brown ones. So yeah, that is my interpretation or inspiration from the cremated palette. I was able to get one, and I got the two lightest glosses. I know one of them's called Heaven's Gate, but the other one escapes me at the moment. But I did get the two lightest glosses, and I got the cremated palette. Now, if he has a Black Friday sale, I will be buying Androgyny. I just have been putting it off because I heard mixed reviews about the formula. But at this point, I really want to be able to say I have all of his palettes for a collector standpoint, because they are all vegan and I would all use them. But as far as collecting every little Jeffree Star thing, like all the mirrors, all the lip glosses, all the liquid lipsticks, you're talking about thousands and thousands of dollars that I just don't see the point in, because after all, it is just makeup. Now, this video was simply for inspiration purposes. It is not my opinion on the palette. It is not my thoughts. It is not what I thought about the color scheme or any of that. I will do a separate video, maybe if y'all wanted it, about my thoughts on the cremated palette and as a consumer standpoint, but everybody is doing those videos. I wanted to do something different. I wanted to use shadows in my collection. One eye using non-Jeffree Star colors and one eye using Jeffree Star colors to show you that if you don't have $58 to spend on this palette, you don't need to break the bank and go out and buy it if you don't have the means. You can totally recreate looks using colors in your collection or using Jeffree Star colors in your collection to get a similar look. However, if you wanted to save up and buy it, that's all you. I'm not here to tell you about your finances, but it is possible to recreate beautiful looks inspired by this palette or inspired by makeup tutorials of this palette. So those are the finished eyes. And as always, I will post pictures at the end of the video so that you guys can see them. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for future content, because